Okay, we are going live. I think we're live on YouTube right now. What up, StreamYard? All right, what's up, guys? We are live on YouTube. Let's wait for the live to go up on IG so we can adjust that. Perfect. IG is now also live. And guys, this is what I'm going to do. Let me grab the YouTube link. And if you're on Instagram, guys, I'm going to set it up on Instagram. Let me comment this right now. If you're on Instagram, comment YouTube for the link. Always got to get things started proper. All right, we are starting on time. So, guys, bear with me. We're going to get started here in just 1 minute. No need to stress, no need to worry. We're right on time. You're exactly where you're supposed to be. There's a reason you showed up here today. Okay, open in YouTube, done, update, beautiful. All right, guys, you want a cool little life hack? What's up, Deborah? Here's a fun life hack. If you ever, I'm going to show you guys something actually real quick. Let's see this. So I'm going to see if I can share my screen. I'm going to share my tab. I'm going to show you a cool little trick. Maybe you care about this, maybe you don't. But right now I use an app called ManyChat. So I've been telling you guys, if you're on Instagram, to comment a certain word, like I'll say comment YouTube or comment trust or comment whatever, and I send you direct messages. It's not actually me sending you a direct message. I use this platform called ManyChat, and it's a automation tool that when you send a comment on these live videos, it will send you a message back. Now, what's interesting is right now you guys are going to comment YouTube. You'll get the link to the YouTube channel. I want to share this with every single person that uses Instagram because it's a game changer. It bothers me and it can help you out a lot. Have you ever shared somebody a YouTube link on Instagram, and when they go and they click on it, instead of opening it in their YouTube app on their phone, it opens up like a Sapphire browser or a Google Chrome browser, and they're not actually plugged into their YouTube account. They're on a browser looking at the video through YouTube, and you'd rather send them directly to the YouTube app. Well, this is what you do. When you share the link, look at this. When you share the link, what you want to write is open in youtube.com. So when you copy and paste, like let's say I copy and paste my YouTube URL. So I'm going to delete this for a minute so you guys can see. I delete it. I put my YouTube URL, and at the beginning, in between www dot, I'm going to write the words open in. And now when they click that link, it's going to open up directly into the YouTube channel. So let me stop sharing. Cool little hack. Just wanted you guys to be able to have that for yourselves. So if you're watching on YouTube, make sure you comment YouTube. If you're watching on Instagram, comment YouTube to come on over. Today, what we're going to be doing is we're going to keep going along with answering those questions that I've had. So I've got about 50 or so questions that have been asked about personal development, about mindset, about focus, about productivity. And I want to keep going through and answering these questions for y'all. Do me a favor. If you have any questions, drop them in the chat and we'll get to it as well. So this question that we left off on was, how do I stay positive when the market shifts and every deal feels harder than the last? So this is an interesting question because one, the market shifts are inevitable. And so how do I stay positive when the market shifts? That person, here's what I would tell you. Your positivity or negativity is not dependent on external circumstance. It's not determined on what's happening in the market. It's not determined on what's happening on YouTube, what's happening in the news, who's in the White House. Ultimately, if you're allowing your emotional state to depend on the direction that the wind is blowing in, you're going to be caught in a situation where you won't actually have control over your own emotional state. So first off, divorce yourself from external circumstance being the determining factor of how you feel. That's just, you don't want to operate from that place. All right. So being clear about this, I don't really it's hard for me to answer that question from a personal standpoint. It's not even hard. I don't really get negative based on what's happening in the market because quite frankly, I don't pay attention to what's happening in the market. Not, how do I put it? because I like that sounds like I'm ignorant to what's going on in the market, and it's I do pay attention. I do watch. I do take in new information. I am aware of the changes that occur. However, I believe we have the ability to create our own economy. We have the ability to create our own marketplace because the fact is, when the market is at a peak, there are people who are winning. There are people who make a lot of money when markets go up. And at the same time, there are people who lose money when markets go up. Now, when markets go down, same thing. There are people who make a lot of money and there are people who lose money. And when markets stay sideways, there are people who make a lot of money and people who lose money. And so, what's the difference? Because there are people who know how to win in any market condition. What's the difference? They have divorced themselves from what is happening external. The winds are blowing, they change their sail. They don't sit there and say, I'm stuck going where the wind is blowing. They understand how to change their sail. So, for you, if you're in that place where you're finding it tough to stay positive when the market shifts, ask yourself this question. Well, what is it that allows me to be positive? Start to dissect, where is your positivity coming from? What is the source of your emotional state? For me personally, the source of my emotional state are principles. It's following God, right? So I would say God first, and then I would say having principles and then having routines, right? Essentially, it's me governing myself. So by being in control of me, by me being in control of me, I'm able to choose how I feel. I'm able to choose what I do. And that's regardless of whatever is happening externally. A great book I would recommend you read that has nothing to do with business, but has a lot to do with you is Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. I would read that book, Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. Okay, so we're going to move on to the next question here. It reads, what's stopping you from asking for the big opportunity you've been dreaming about but feel you're too unsure to pursue? Ooh, that's a good one. Okay, so what's stopping you from effectively going after the big goal? If you're afraid to go after your big goal, there's what it tells me is two things. The first thing it tells me is you have placed doubt above faith. Like you doubt that you can have what you want and that you have put above, right? Like in the pecking order, you're saying like the doubt, the idea of this thing not working out, you believe in that more than you believe in the idea of it working out. So there's a part of you that does believe it will work out. That's why you're even entertaining the thought, you're entertaining the idea. But the reality is you've taken the doubt thought and you have placed it higher on the pedestal, and you are going to worship and honor whichever one is higher. And so we've got to replace the order. We've got to take this idea that it's possible and it's possible for you, and we've got to place it higher. What starts to give us the, let's call it the bandwidth and the capacity to believe in that thought is when I'm going after the opportunity, I've got to look at what am I willing to sacrifice in order to make it happen. The more a person is willing to sacrifice, the more they believe in that opportunity. I'm going to use something that you can think of. Michael Phelps, arguably one of the greatest Olympian swimmers of all time. I forget how many medals he walked away with in the those Beijing Olympics. And Michael Phelps, he so believed in his ability to be one of the best that he was willing to sacrifice effectively his entire childhood. And he was making a conscious decision to do so, giving up birthday parties, giving up recreation with friends, giving up doing any other sports, going to a school that allowed him to spend so many more hours in a pool. So it wasn't just after school. I mean, the guy was spending, I think they said anywhere from like 8 to 10 hours a day in the pool. And he was in a pool 7 days a week. He was in the water 7 days a week. And so a lot had to be sacrificed in order to make that happen. Kobe Bryant sacrificed birthday parties, vacations, family reunions, going out and spending time with friends. You know, it was asked of Kobe Bryant, they said, you and I were friends growing up. We know each other from childhood, but you make it into the NBA. What happens to our relationship? Kobe Bryant said, make no bones about it. Our relationship suffers. That's the reality. He says it suffers because I'm not around. I'm not showing up. There's only so many birthday parties and weddings and Christmases I can miss before you feel some type of way. And he was aware that he was making this level of sacrifice. And so when a person is willing to make that much sacrifice, what actually happens is you are losing something here, but you're gaining something over here. And a part of that gain is this belief. You start to internally believe that this will happen because I'm giving up so much to make it happen. Like a parent who's giving up everything to put their kids through school. You start to believe in that child's success to the point of delusion. Like it's like you are delusional about that child is going to make it because I'm willing to sacrifice everything to see it happen. The people turn away from sacrifice. I think sacrifice is a great thing, but let's define sacrifice. I mean, I'm going to define it here, but I want you guys in the chat. Do me a favor. Comment in the chat. What is your definition of sacrifice? I want to know what your definition of sacrifice is. Let me know in the chat. All right. And if you guys are still hanging out on Instagram, comment the word YouTube. Come over to the YouTube channel where I can put your chat. I can't read the Instagram chat while I'm on YouTube. So come over to YouTube. That's why I put it there. So I gained a great definition of sacrifice by Myron Golden. And it's been one of my absolute favorites. And ever since he taught me this definition of sacrifice, it repositioned it, reframed my mind, and it actually makes me want to sacrifice more, which is odd. So Myron taught me that sacrifice is relinquishing something of a lower nature in exchange for something of a higher nature. When I sacrifice, I'm letting go of something of a lower nature in exchange of something of a higher nature. That's what it means to sacrifice. So sometimes there's a thought process that sacrifice is equal to suffering. But did you hear me? Letting go of something of a lower nature in exchange for something of a higher nature. Less value, gain more value. That's what sacrifice is. Sacrifice is not suffering. Suffering and sacrifice are not synonymous. So, knowing that sacrifice is letting go of something of a lower nature for a higher nature, when you are willing to make those sacrifices, you are positioning yourself. You're allowing yourself to gain even more belief that you will get to that big, hairy, audacious goal. When you're willing to sacrifice something of a lower nature, like immediate comfort, laying in bed for an extra hour in the morning. You're willing to sacrifice something of a lower nature, like doom scrolling. You're willing to sacrifice something of a lower nature, like eating all the junk food because it's easily accessible. You're willing to sacrifice something of a lower nature, like just put it on the credit card, don't worry about it. Like you're willing to sacrifice versus doing the harder things, right? Letting go of those bad behaviors in exchange for something of a higher nature. Start to condition yourself to sacrifice. Start to allow yourself to recognize sacrifice is a part of the strategy to grow. All right. Next question here is, how do you regain focus when your phone won't stop buzzing and distractions seem endless? This one's easy. My phone doesn't buzz. Here's why. My phone is in constant. So I'll show you guys. Like, people think I'm ignoring them, and the reality is I am. I ignore everybody, like everybody. So my phone, if you guys could see that, there's a little button there that says personal, right? I custom set that personal mode on my iPhone. iPhone lets you do this. To that personal mode, my phone does not ring. Notifications are not on my screen. I don't know, like my Instagram is not going to give me a notification if you like my video. My YouTube won't give me a notification. My Stripe account won't, like literally nothing gives me a notification. So that's one mode that I keep my phone in, because right now I'm in a position where my phone isn't directly connected to me making money like it was in the past when I was wholesaling and people had my number and I had to answer sellers because those leads were expensive. It took me a long time to build them up. If I were in a position where I'm wholesaling, here's what I would do. I would go from that personal mode and I would click it into what I call work mode, right? So you guys might not be able to see that. I don't think it's focusing. But in work mode, what it allows is it allows my phone to act only as a phone And I'm actually able to block certain people from calling. So I can actually take my friends list and I can block my friends from being able to call me. So my phone is only open to work conversations. This is what I would do. Now, when I am working nowadays, my work looks a little bit different. My work involves working with my clients, it's coaching them. So, a lot of what I do nowadays is I do coaching. So, I'm working with other entrepreneurs, helping them on their mindset, helping them overcome limiting beliefs, helping them train their teams, helping them communicate better, helping them negotiate and close deals. That's where I'm working. And then when I'm not doing that, I'm creating content. So not just these lives, I'm behind the scenes in the podcast studio, been making a lot of content for you guys. I'm excited about it. I'm having fun making it. And so you guys are going to start to see a lot more content on my page. I've been telling you that for a while now. But we've just been stockpiling things. So when we do turn that faucet on, we don't turn it off. So once you start seeing me online, you're not going to stop seeing me. I promise you that. And then what I'm also doing is I'm so hell-bent on becoming the best coach that I can, the best high-performance coach, the best mindset coach, that when I'm not filming and I'm not working with clients and we're not like doing sales calls or anything of that nature, I'm studying. So I go back and I start, right? Because when I'm working with my clients, they bring problems to me and I will go and I will do hours of research on their behalf. So when I study, I'm no longer studying for myself, I'm studying for them. And so I don't want myself to be distracted. As a result, what I do is phone goes into work mode, phone goes into personal mode, and then I actually go a step further. I turn airplane mode on, I turn Wi-Fi off, and I actually put the phone in another room because the reality is this device is so amazing in its ability to do so many things. I can go on Instagram, I can go on YouTube, I can go on Stripe, I can host a webinar, I can call my mom, I can FaceTime with Donald Trump. I can do amazing things, but I can do too many things. Therefore, when I pick this phone up, my body, my nervous system doesn't actually know what I'm supposed to do. See, when I pick up, and I don't have it with me, it's inside my room, I have a little timer, a kitchen timer. When I pick that kitchen timer up, it only means one thing. It means we're going to work for the amount of time that's set on that timer. It's not, it doesn't do anything else. It doesn't connect to the internet. There's no app with it. It's one thing. It's singular focused. It's singular purpose. It only has one use. When I go to the library, I like going to the library. The library means I'm here to study. There's a certain coffee shop I go to. When I go to that coffee shop, it means I'm here to work. There's another coffee shop that I go to. When I go to that coffee shop, it means I'm here to chill. And so what happens is we build associations with things in our environment, and your cell phone has way too many associations to it. Just being honest, your cell phone, most of you have way too many associations with this phone. Therefore, confusion comes over you instead of clarity. This is a tool that can do it all, and yet we use it for nothing. All right, a universal tool that can get it all done, and we use it for nothing. We are actually less productive with more capability. Why? Because you haven't disciplined and trained yourself to use it for one particular task. Therefore, I don't allow myself, and I'm the same way, guys. I like you. Give me this thing unlocked, I will scroll on Instagram. I will scroll on TikTok. I am not above temptation. So I remove temptation. Until I'm at that point where I can be tempted and not fall victim, I remove temptation. I work on strengthening internally my own resolve to do what I say I'm going to do. That's my answer. So how many of you guys, just out of curiosity, how many of you struggle, like being honest, how many of you struggle with these devices? That these devices have become a weapon of mass destruction. Who's in that boat where you recognize, like if you go to your screen time and look at how much hours you're spending on an app, right? Like you guys can look, like I'll show you my screen time right now. You'll see like I'm not spending a lot of time. You see Google, I'll read it for you guys if you can't see it. My cell phone text messages, 34 minutes, Google Map, 12 minutes, Freeform where I write, 25 minutes, YouTube 6 minutes, Instagram 5 minutes, and then school inside my school platform, 24 minutes. And so today I've used the phone for 2 hours and 13 minutes. It's 1:30 in the afternoon. I've only been on my phone for 2 hours. 1:30 in the afternoon, and I've only been on the phone for 2 hours. Check yours. What's it say about your use time right now? I'm not doing this to embarrass you. I'm doing this to call it out that if you have been spending more time on your phone purely in consumption, not even consumption for the sake of production, you want to start to discipline and limit the amount of access you even physically give yourself to the phone by placing it in another room. A lot of us, we have CRMs. We can make phone calls from our computers. Make your phone calls from your workstation. If you are fighting with this, if this is like a negative addiction. So, I mean, that person asking that question about how do you regain focus when the phone won't stop buzzing, that just shows me you have not disciplined yourself around your phone. All right, so let's go here. The next question is, what's the best way to reframe failure? Like when you lose a deal and start questioning your entire strategy. Oh, that's a good question. Okay, I'll read the question one more time. What's the best way to reframe failure like when you lose a deal and start questioning your entire strategy? First, understand this. Napoleon Hill wrote a phenomenal book called Think and Grow Rich. And in there, he says that every failure comes with a seed of its equivalent success. For every failure, every time you have a mistake, every time something goes bad, every time there's negativity, recognize that equal positivity of equal size and magnitude is also created. This is how the universe works. The universe has to constantly be in balance. This universe that you and I are a part of, this particular one that we live, has to create a balance. And so he recognized this. So when I read that question and it says, how do I reframe failure? Well, I understand that failure comes with the seed of equivalent success, no matter what. So that's already the positive. So I know whatever happened, there's success in there. There's a lesson in there. Failure to me is kind of imaginary, if I'm being honest. Let me explain. Growing up, I have never found anything that I'm naturally talented at. If I'm being totally honest with you guys, like I know people every now and then compliment me now that I'm communicating, that they like the way I speak, and I'm like, I appreciate that. It means, you vibe with me, so thank you for that. However, growing up, I was quiet, I was shy, wasn't very athletic, wasn't necessarily the smartest kid in the room. My name was never number one on any list. Like, I'm just being honest. That's not a negative thing. It's not me talking down on myself. That's just objective reality. And what I discovered when I was in the 5th grade was I discovered a sport called skateboarding. A friend of mine had a skateboard, said, hey, you want to give this a try? And everybody else tried riding the skateboard, and everybody lost their balance and fell. And I was like, let me give it a try. And I jumped on the board, and I didn't fall off immediately. I was actually able to ride. And I remember this so vividly because it was the first time I ever felt like a natural talent. It was the first time I ever felt like a success at something that hey, this might be my thing. And guys, keep in mind, all I did was ride the dang board on the floor. It wasn't like I ollied down some stairs. It wasn't like I busted out a kickflip. I mean, I literally just stood on it and didn't lose my balance. But I took that as a sign that this is my thing. I'm the greatest. And so with that belief that I had found my thing, I got hooked. I mean, obsessed with skateboarding. Now, everyone knows in skateboarding, the first trick you need to learn is how to ollie. You've got to learn how to pop the board up into the air, or else you really can't skateboard. You can't go up and down curbs. You can't go over obstacles. You're pretty limited if you don't learn how to ollie. I mean, you literally have to get off the board every time you want to go up on the sidewalk. And so I set out to learn how to ollie. And wow, was I immediately humbled, because this natural talent who had ridden the board so immediately took me weeks of attempting how to ollie. Weeks. I'm talking I had to have put in at least 1,000 to 2,000 repetitions on just trying to slap the board down, because this is the process to ollie. You push the tail down, the board begins to lift up in the front, and you've got to at the same time scoop your front foot forward and jump with it. So you're scooping down, sliding the foot forward, jumping at the same time so the board lifts up with you, and then you keep it from going on its sides, you keep it flat under you, and then you press it back down after it comes into the air. Logically, it makes perfect sense, but trying to make it happen, just was over and over and over and over. And I just kept going. I kept going. I kept going. And it was try and fail, try and fail, try and fail, try and fail. And one day I finally get it. I finally make the ollie happen. And I'm like, cool, it clicked. And after that, right, like I land the ollie, and then again, it's try an ollie again, fail, try an ollie again, fail, try. But now instead of 1,000 reps, it's, hey, give me 100 more reps. And I finally get the ollie. And then after that, it was like, hey, 50 reps, and I got the ollie, and then 20 reps. And then it was like, hey, now I can ollie 1 out of every 2 tries. And then I got to the point that I could ollie every try. And the reason I'm telling you this is because after I finally got to that point of being able to ollie every try, and I started to get some other tricks under my belt, one day I'm reflecting and I'm thinking about the fact that it's interesting. I have failed way more times than I have succeeded in this sport. Whether it was ollies, pop shove-its, kick flips, whatever, all the skills, I have absolutely not even like close, not even like a 50-50. I mean, like it is like a 90 to 1 ratio of failure to success. And yet, I'm still in love with this sport. I'm still progressing at this sport. I'm still becoming really good at this sport. All of those failures, I'm starting to realize, weren't actually failures, because here I am on the other side with success. I know how to do the skill. I can teach others how to do it. I can impress people with the tricks. And so I start realizing, well, every time I messed up, I got important feedback. I got data. So failure, right? Like had I quit skateboarding, had I stopped and thrown my skateboard away, then I can say, yes, I failed. But because after every failed attempt, I kept going, I realized it wasn't failure. It was just a part of the process. I was getting feedback along the way to my destination. Feedback along the way. If you have to go on a detour while you're driving, do you count the detour as a failure? Do you say, oh, I screwed up? No, you recognize, hey, this was actually, I thought it was going to be like this to get here, but I had to take this road and now I'm here. You wouldn't say because, well, I'm no longer driving on the highway that I have failed, that the car trip is over, let's give up. So why do you think that way in terms of your business? Why do you think that way in terms of sales? Why do you think that way in terms of relationship? Why do you think that way in terms of when you ask somebody for a favor and they say no, or you ask somebody for an opportunity and they say no, that you're like, all right, I failed. No, you got feedback. If you're willing to persist through the feedback and recognize you're not done until you're done, what will happen is you will begin to open your mind up and you will begin to navigate and course correct based on your new present location. All right, so I'm on that detour. Let's use that detour example. I take the detour. I'm on a new road and I've never been here before, but I still am aware that I'm trying to get into, let's say, downtown Phoenix, and the 101 is blocked. So now I'm taking some side streets. I don't just say, well, I give up. I can't make it to downtown Phoenix anymore. No, I take audit of where I'm at. And because I know my destination and I know I'm not stopping till I get there, I actually have the ability to pull over and ask someone, hey, how do I get to downtown Phoenix from here? You want a promotion and you ask your boss and they say no? Well, okay, I understand you said no to me now, but how do I get to that promotion from here? You ask for a sale and the client just says, no, like we're not interested. We don't want to buy it. Okay, I understand. But what about this product don't you like? What would it take for us to get your business? You ask for a seller you give them an offer and they say, no, that's too low. Hey, I totally understand. It makes a lot of sense. This offer's too low for you. What would it take for us to get a deal done? So when you start to reframe failure as feedback, you recognize failure is simply new data that you didn't have before. And now you can adjust accordingly based on your new present location. You can use that new present location to understand what can I do better, even with the exact same person in the exact same situation. You don't even need, sometimes people are like, well, I lost this opportunity. I need to wait for the next opportunity. The next opportunity could be with the exact same person the moment after the failure occurred, the moment after you get the feedback. But here's the thing. If you look at failure and define it the way most people do, which is I have failed, this is over, it is dead, chapter closed, your mind is not going to seek out any new ways, new questions, new opportunities. Failure is a period. It's a complete sentence. It's the end of the chapter. Feedback is a continuation. It's an open loop still. Feedback means the program is still running. So reframe failure as feedback. Guys, I fail every single day. I fail every single week. I fail every single month because I get feedback. I get feedback on what's working, what's not working. Guys, I send emails. Some of you are on my email list. Some of you have gotten some emails. I've gotten some good feedback on some of those emails. I've gotten some feedback that says, I don't like it. I've got people that unsubscribed, and I learn, okay, cool. People don't like this. So now for my next email, I can add that, oh, this one, a lot of people opened. So my subject line is good. Ooh, this one, a lot of people actually messaged me. Like people read my email and they sent me a message and they said, wow, this resonated, this impact. When I make videos, I get feedback sometimes. Sometimes the feedback on my videos is 2 people watched. Ooh, okay, probably whatever I did in that video wasn't very good. My thumbnail wasn't good. The topic I spoke about didn't keep people engaged. Sometimes I get feedback and I'm like, wow, 1,000 people watched, which means people were sharing it. Okay, whatever I said here, it's feedback. We want to look at failure as feedback. In fact, if you're taking notes right now, do me a favor, write that note down. In fact, you should be. As I'm going through, and I know some of these aren't your questions, they're other people's questions, but still, if you're getting value, start taking notes. I want you taking notes on what resonates with you, because when you start to take notes, you're making that information yours. You're taking that information and you're bringing it home with you. All right, let's go here to the next question. By the way, if you're getting some value from this, do me a favor, hit the like button. I want you to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. If you're new to the channel, welcome to the channel, and share this video with a friend. Like right now while we're still live, because I like being able to, here's the reality. Like I like when there's more of us on here, because then we start having conversation in the chat. We start having this community vibe. So if you're getting value, do me a favor, hit the like, share the video with a friend. Let's keep going here. Oh, this is a fun one. This is a great question. So this next question says, how can you visualize a better future for yourself when all you see now is stress and uncertainty? Ooh, okay, let me take a sip because this is going to be a deep question. Okay, so the question is, and before I begin, let me just make sure and see if there's anybody on YouTube, on Instagram. John, we got 3 people on Instagram right now. Guys, if you're on Instagram, comment the word YouTube. Come over to the YouTube channel. I want you on the YouTube. I don't want you guys on Instagram. Come over to YouTube. All right, let's keep going here. So I'm going to read the question one more time in case you just joined in. How can you visualize a better future for yourself when all you see now is stress and uncertainty? Visualization is a critical tool for reality creation. Everything is first off, we got to go a lot of places with this one. So let's start off with this. First, we have to acknowledge this basic understanding that you live in a mental universe, right? Like the universe is mental. Your reality is mental, meaning your thoughts are one of the most powerful things that you have. Please accept that for the sake of this conversation. Accept that as a fundamental truth. So recognizing that the reality that you live in is mental, we come to this conclusion that things are created first in the mind and then second in reality. So being able to visualize is an amazing way of reality creation. In fact, Stephen Covey's book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, he talks about this when he talks about the habit of starting with the end in mind. He says, before you begin these massive undertakings, these big projects, you want to first visualize and see the finish in your mind. Even if you don't know how it's going to happen, you want to be able to see that finish first. And when we go deeper into it, the reason you want to be able to see that finish first is because when you take a finished product in your mind, you're able to impress that product into your subconscious. When you feed it into your subconscious mind, the subconscious mind will begin to express itself. And it expresses itself through you, through your body, in your physical reality. Therefore, whatever the subconscious mind accepts as true, whatever the subconscious mind is fed and impressed, it will create in your life. This is why it's tough when people first hear that. It's tough for them to accept it because they're like, well, like can I just like manifest $1 million? Can I manifest a Ferrari? And because they haven't seen the positive things that they desire, they think it's not true. But if you ask them to think about the negatives in their lives, right? Maybe, what they call family curses, generational curses, the fact that um, everyone in their family has been divorced by the age of 40 and they are like, oh my gosh, that's going to happen to me too. What happened is that idea, that image has been burned into your subconscious mind already. And so it starts to express itself in your life. And you're like, yep, like everyone in my family, they've gone through this because this image has already been visualized to the subconscious mind. So we want to start to change what we visualize. And this person, when they asked a question about how do you visualize a better future for yourself when all you see is stress and uncertainty, you've got to recognize that when you have stress and uncertainty in your life and you embody that day to day, you will not be able to visualize something positive. Right? Like, because here's what happens. Your subconscious mind, this is the womb of reality. So things are birthed and manifested here. The subconscious mind has it, let's call it a door. There's a door that you've got to open up. That door locks, it closes itself to stress, to tension, and to effort. The door of the subconscious mind will slam shut to the person who shows up to it stressed, tensed, and is forcing effort on it. Subconscious mind will not open the door. What the subconscious mind does like is it likes a relaxed individual. When a person comes to the mind relaxed, when a person comes to the mind with a deep level of conviction and is able to emotionalize their thoughts, the subconscious mind is willing to open the door so that you can have her audience. And then with that audience, you can impress upon her the image, the reality that you want to create in your life. And so if you're in a place where you're constantly stressed out, this is the challenge. And it goes back to the question somebody had asked earlier, which is like, how do you prevent yourself from getting like all frazzled dazzled when the market's going up and down? It's remember that this is the truth. Your emotional state does not need to be dependent on what is happening in your external reality. Your circumstances do not have to dictate your inner emotional state, your inner emotional world. If you understand that truth and you really let that sink in, that my outer experience does not have to determine my inner experience. In fact, it works the opposite way. My inner experience determines my outer experience. If you understand that reality, what it allows you to do is it allows you to shut off the outside world and go in and explore. Now, most people don't spend time doing that. How do I know? Simple observation. Look at your phone and look at how much time you spend on your phone. See, your phone has taken the place of your imagination. For most people, if I'm being honest, most people have given up reality creation to their cell phones, to their televisions, to their computers, right? These are little image creators. Well, guess what's also an image creator? My mind. I have an imagination. When you were a child, this is actually really cool. I just sent this to a friend of mine, Michelle. She and I, it's so funny. We'll send each other back and forth like these reels, but like it's not like nonsense. Although some of them are straight up jokes. But we typically send each other positive things because we're constantly feeding our minds. So I sent Michelle this video about a very progressive school. I think they said it's like the most progressive school in America. And what they did with the school, actually, no, I'm thinking of another video, so I'm combining. So let me rephrase. It was, but it was also another progressive school. What they did was the students, they took for a week, no, 30 days, they took all of the students' cell phones, every student, and they're all kids. They're all, it looked like elementary and middle school. So think of ages like 8 to 14. They take their cell phone, they have them put them in a box, and for 30 days, none of these kids have cell phones. And some of the kids were excited about it, like, oh, this is going to be fun. Other kids are like, you're literally taking my life away. Like, what are you doing? One girl, she even said, she's like, my dad told me he didn't have a cell phone until he was 18 years old. I can't even imagine. Like, what did you do with yourself? And so when they took the phones from the kids, what they started to find, and obviously first day, it almost looked like they're going through withdrawal. However, after that, they started reporting that they're seeing, well, the kids out of boredom, they're beginning to entertain themselves and they're starting to go and find things to do. They're starting to go outside more. They're riding bikes around aimlessly like we did when we were kids. They're starting to come up with creative stories to keep themselves entertained. So because the mind isn't receiving stimulation, it's creating stimulation. It is creating stimulation. So the external circumstance is not dictating internally what's happening. They are actually disconnecting with external. They're creating internally, and then they're going out and affecting the external. You have that ability. Practice it. This is what meditation's about. Every morning I've been waking up and I go and I sit down and I will spend anywhere from 10 minutes to 40, 45, 50 minutes. And I will just sit and I will meditate. I will close my eyes. I am wide awake. I will close my eyes. I will go into my closet. I will shut off the lights and I will sit there and I will go inward and I will explore my inner universe. I will keep myself calm. When my monkey brain starts to say to me, Marlon, like, dude, check your phone. Ooh, did you hear that? Did your phone vibrate out there? Is someone at the door? Is the dog barking? Right? Like the monkey brain is trying to distract me. It's trying to convince me that we need to go out and do something right now. Stay in control. Stay in control. Control your inner world. The person who has control over their inner world, the outer world, can literally do nothing to you. I love that. Jose says, this is fire. Jose, I love the way you said that. Jose says the kids' souls started dancing again. Freaking love that. And yeah, so Jose saw the video I was talking about. So that's a critical understanding that when, and guys, this is all coming from the question, which was, how can you visualize a better future for yourself when all you see now is stress and uncertainty? If all you're seeing is stress and uncertainty, you're purely operating from an external circumstance. You are purely operating with eyesight. And there's two types of sight. You have eyesight and you have mind sight. I need you working on your mind sight. Work on developing your mind sight, your ability to see what is invisible. Your ability. This cell phone, this was invisible at one point. It was just an idea. It was inside someone's mind sight. They saw it in their mind. It did not exist in the world. Mind sight creates reality. All right, let's keep going here. All right, I think I answered this question before. It looks like someone sent a similar question. How do you train yourself to see potential in a deal when everyone else sees risk? I know I answered that question. We answered it on the Think Big podcast, episode 110. So I'm going to keep going past that question. How do you discover your why in real estate, especially on the days when money doesn't seem like enough motivation? Again, I feel like we answered that question too, because that question seems so familiar. I'll answer it briefly here again. How do you discover your why in real estate? Specifically, it sounds like this one's for me, especially on the days where money doesn't seem like enough motivation. Well, first off, I'm a believer that when you set a goal, have a clear goal, have a clear goal. I'm not saying a rational goal. I'm not saying a smart goal. I'm just saying have a clear goal, have a clear target of what it is you want to do. But after you have that goal, sit down and if it takes you 10 minutes to come up with a clear goal, it should take you at least 100 minutes to come up with all the reasons why you want to make that goal happen, why that goal must happen. Because you need reasons. Reasons are going to be the thing that get you to take action. Reasons are what move you. And so if you only have one reason, I want to start a real estate business so I can make money. That's one reason. And it's a valid reason. I want to make money. That's a valid reason. I want to pay my bills. Valid reason. I want to be able to buy food. Valid reason. But if you only have one reason, it's not strong enough. There's not enough pull. There's not enough oomph behind it to keep you going day to day. So what I do for myself is I sat down and I really thought about all the reasons, big, small, personal reasons, professional reasons, humanitarian reasons behind why I want to have what I want to have, why I want to have success. So real estate, a big part. And I'll share this. When I first got started in real estate, one of the big driving reasons, first, I wanted to make money. I was living at home with my mom and my sister. I needed to figure out how to earn more money. That was a critical first. Second was I wanted to prove to people who had put their faith in me that I was a safe bet. So, what do I mean by that? I had a lot of people all throughout my life telling me, dude, you're going to make something of yourself. I'm so proud of you. If you can do it, we can do it. And so, like, there were people who believed in me and they encouraged me. And I didn't want to make them look like idiots. Because like that's what you do. If someone believes in you and you let them down, you're kind of making them look like an idiot. Like you're making it look like they don't know how to pick the right person. Versus the opposite, if like they believed in you and then you go and you make it, now everyone gets to say, "See, I told you so. I told you he was going to be somebody." And so that was a big reason for me. I used to work with kids. I coached a sport called parkour, and I've had thousands of students. And I was on social media; they were following me. They're aware of what I'm up to. Like guys, like some of my students could be watching this video right now. Um, and so a big part of it was I wanted to go and show them that there was a better way to adult because the adults in Long Island, New York. I'm sorry, you guys in Long Island, New York. Gee, you guys are some sad adults, man. Like it was, people would walk around with the fake smile, just kind of going to the job they hate. And I get it. Like I respect when people do the hustle and they're doing it for reasons like I want to take care of my family and those sort of things. However, it got to the point where growing up, when you ask a person how they're doing, the most common answer you hear is everything's fine, everything's good, or living a dream. Hate that answer. I hate the answer. Let me not say I hate. I prefer a better answer. I prefer a truthful answer because you're not living the dream. You're telling me your dream life is to work 50, 60 hours a week at a job you hate, to come home to a wife that you barely really even see anymore, and your kids ignore you and they've grown up basically without you because you're always at work and they are becoming little shitheads saying you like it's that can't be your dream. That if that's your dream, you got a weird, messed up sense of humor. And so people in Long Island would say they felt fine and they quite frankly, their energy said something different. And so I remembered one of my big reasons was I want to go and actually be happy. I want to create success and also actually be happy. And it's not, you have to choose one or the other, right? You don't either get to be successful or you get to be happy, which is the way it was presented to me growing up. It was like, hey, you can either be rich or you can, be happy and do what you love. And I'm like, why isn't there this middle ground where I can do both? Like, why does that reality not exist? And I came to find out it does. And so these were some of the reasons I had for wanting success. And so on the days where I didn't want to do it, on the days where I'm in my bedroom crying because a deal just fell apart and this person is pissed off at me because I told them I could do something and I let them down and I'm stressed out and my partner's not answering the phone and we got $40,000 on the line and I'm already $20,000 in debt and everything, and I got bills to pay and I don't know where the next check is coming from and I'm literally down to the last couple of dollars in my bank account. On those days where I'm like, I should just quit this and go get a regular job, I said one more day. Why one more day? Because Marlon, you got those kids watching, you got Paulie watching, you got Sean watching, you got, dude, your mom believed in you, your brother believed in you, your uncle believed in you, your best friend, she believed in you. You can't let these people down right now. And Marlon, you said you wanted to make money, and you said you wanted to travel, and you said you wanted to experience this life, and you said you were willing to do whatever it took. You said that. No one told you to say that. You said those things. And so I had so many reasons to keep going. So many reasons. So when you set a goal for yourself, if you don't give yourself reasons, all you did was establish something that you're wishing for. It's a wishful thought, which is cool, have wishes, but I'd rather see my wishes and I'd rather see my dreams become a reality. And so reasons help it become a reality. Let's read the next question here, which is, how can you become a leader others look up to even when you feel like you're still figuring it out yourself? Damn. Who's asking these questions? Because these feel kind of personal. Like this feels so personal to me. So the question is, how can you become a better leader when you still feel like you're figuring things out yourself? I wonder if Klex and Ken are watching right now. Klex and Ken, if you guys are watching, what up? Because last night I just interviewed those two guys to bring them on my team, and I'm excited to be working with them. You guys will learn more about them later on. And, just great guys, awesome dudes. And while we had a conversation, I told them flat out, I said, hey, guys, like in 2025, I'm stepping into new territory. I'm stepping into a place I've never been in business. I'm stepping into, like, I want to grow a team. I've never grown a team like this particular team before. Everything about 2025 is going to be new, being totally upfront. And I don't know yet fully how to be a leader in this space. I don't know how to be the best in this space yet. And I want to tell you that now. And I want to just thank you ahead of time for your patience with me, your patience with the flexibility. I said these things to them because ultimately a leader isn't somebody who has it all figured out. That's not the definition of a leader, at least not my definition of a leader. So a leader is not someone who has it all figured out. What is a leader? A leader is somebody, what's up, Mario? Good to see you here, bro. A leader is somebody who is interested in growing their people. So that's the first, in my opinion, the first job of a leader, of a good leader, is to empower your people. And I'm not the best leader. In fact, I've let people down in the past. I absolutely have. And there's some people that I've had no business leading because I wasn't in a position to make them better. So a good leader, their job is to empower their people, first and foremost, right? Number two, a good leader, their job is to make a decision. Their job is to make decisions. So a good leader needs to be able to make a decision to cast. There we go. To cast the vision. You've got to be able to cast the vision so that everybody knows where they're going. They know we can all row in the same direction. So a leader is going to empower their people. They're going to cast the vision to make sure we're all moving in the same direction. And then a good leader, right, after empowering your people, after casting the vision, a good leader is going to give you the resources you need in order to grow. They're going to give you the resources, whether those resources are time, whether they're tools, whether it's additional training. They're going to come back and they're going to invest in you to make that happen. And then I do believe this about a good leader. A good leader is going to lead by example with principles. So leadership, it's not that they do your work for you, but it's that they never ask you to do something that they themselves would not be willing to do. They themselves would not be willing to do. So if I ask anyone on my team to ever do anything, even if I'm not doing it, understand it's something that either I have done in the past or it's something I'm willing to do. This is what good leaders will do for their people. A lot of people, they hear to lead by example and they think it means like I've got to sit down and like if I have a team of cold callers, leading by example means I need to sit down and call 24 hours a day. No, that's not leading by example, but leading by example is having strong work ethic. Leading by example is you working on your projects and your task at 110%, at 120%. It's you going all out. It's you going above and beyond. It's you constantly seeking ways to improve yourself. Because when you start to live your principles, people start to catch it. When you start to set the culture, a good leader is going to set the culture. And so you don't have to have it all figured out. But if you are truly in that place where your heart is, how do I make my people better? That's good leadership. At least that's my humble opinion. Okay. And we'll answer this last question, and then we're going to bounce out of here for today. But the last question is, or this is the last question for today. We got a lot more questions here, but this one says, what's your secret to staying disciplined when it's easier to skip the gym or ignore your to-do list? I, there, guys, there's not a secret to staying disciplined. If I'm being honest, I guess I'll share with you what I do, and this is what helps me when I am disciplined on whatever it is I want. First off, I move things from my to-do list to my calendar. That's one. So I put it on the calendar because when things go on my calendar, they get done. Number two, I make public proclamations to people whose opinions of me I care about. So, for example, I recently had a conversation with Sam, and I told him what my plans were for 2025. And because I now told him, I have to stick to it. I have to do it. Last year, you guys remember, I ran my first 100-mile race. December 28th, I ran 100 miles nonstop straight in a single race. And I only did it because, let me say I only followed through because I got on Instagram and I made a post. I opened up my big mouth and I said, guys, on December 28th, I'm running a 100-mile race. And people started saying, you got this, you got this. They knew I was doing it. And therefore, I had to follow through. I had to see it all the way through to the end. So I will make a public proclamation, and that public proclamation forces me to follow through. Another thing with the discipline is I anticipate it to be challenging, but I also truly believe that it's a sacrifice. And I defined sacrifice earlier as something you're letting go of something of a lower nature for a higher nature. And so because I believe that, in my mind, I'm convinced that I'm going to get something on the backside of being disciplined. Like Mario, you and I were talking about this the other night, that I believe because I'm disciplined, I'm going to have more energy. I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to make more money. I'm going to have more friends. I'm going to be able to look myself in the mirror and be proud of the man I see. And the opposite's true. When I'm not disciplined, I have less money. I have less friends. I have less respect for myself, if I'm being fully honest. And so I don't want to feel that way. I'd rather feel better. Therefore, it's easier to make that decision, if that makes sense. But yeah, discipline is tough. What does help? Accountability. Get accountability. Get another person. Some people say you should be able to do it all on your own, and there's an aspect to that, self-discipline. We're communal creatures, though. Like, I personally, yeah, you can do it all on your own, but why would you want to? I like lifing with friends. I like having friends to do life with, if I'm being totally honest. I don't want to do it all on my own. This is why I live in the house I live with the roommates I live with. I want people around who are also going to get into the trenches and do the work with me and discipline themselves and show up every day. It makes it easier for me to stick to my own game plan. So that would be my answer on that one. But guys, we are at the top of the hour, so I'm going to begin to wrap this up. If you got value from this, first off, if you got value from this and you're on the Instagram, do me a favor, comment the word YouTube to come over to the YouTube channel. We are focused on growing the YouTube a lot more. Probably at the end of December. I don't know if I'm going to keep running the IG lives, but I'll see about if I keep running the YouTube lives. Yeah, but guys, I appreciate you all for being here. We're going to wrap it up. I'm going to get back into work for the rest of the day. I got a lot more to do before I got to hit the airplane tomorrow. So, guys, I appreciate you. Make sure you like, make sure you subscribe, make sure you share this out with a friend. And Melissa, good to see you. We will be back here tomorrow. Tomorrow, not the same time. I got no idea what time I'll be here tomorrow because I got a flight to catch tomorrow and I'll be on the East Coast. But tomorrow, anticipate us going live later in the evening. Peace out.